Coronation Street, P694/279, Part 1, Take 1.
Edited copy.
Pint of bitter, Betty, darling.
Yeah, I haven't got kiss me quick tattooed across me forehead, have I?
Not unless you've got a very low hairline.
You heard what I said, didn't you?
Yeah.
I said a pint of bitter, Betty, darling.
Not one of your wittier lines, I wouldn't have thought.
That's what I would have thought, and all.
In fact, I wouldn't have thought Eric Morecambe could have got a laugh with that one.
Well, come on, if it's all right for my lily white ears, let's all have a laugh.
Oh, you had to be there to see it.
To see what?
Oh, the look on her face when I told her.
Whose face?
Mrs. Walker.
This is worse than getting beer out of Alf Roberts. Told her what?
Oh, not much, just that that woman that she thought was going to be the cleaner turned out to be Ethel Bostock, the present mayoress of Weatherfield.
Ethel Bostock?
Yes, I was there when it happened.
Oh, what did she say when she found
Well,
it?
she just sort of made a sort of a choking noise, and then she turned rice pudding coloured, and then, of course, they both retired into the inner sanctum.
Is she in there now?
Yeah, that's right.
Not, of course, that you had me deceived for one moment, Mrs. Bostock.
No.
But it really has been like Grand Central Station in here today. And when I saw you standing there, just for the moment, I'm afraid I was a little preoccupied.
Oh, well, don't worry, love. It wouldn't be the first time I've been mistaken for a charwoman. Come to think of it, I've done a bit of charring in my time.
Really?
Yes. Well, haven't we all, eh? One way or another.
Pardon?
Oh, it would take more than a case of mistaken identity to put my nose out of joint. But then there are noses and there are noses, and it's just how far down your nose you look, isn't it?
Indeed, yes. More tea?
Oh, yes, thank you all. Got no delusions about this job. And if you take a tip from me, love, you'll go the same road yourself.
Delusions, Mrs. Bostock?
Grandeur. The way some of these mayoresses carry on, and I've met a few of them this year. They're just ordinary working class, you know, like you and me. Common as muck, really. But hang a chain round their necks and you'd think they were the Queen Mother or something.
I suppose we all have our own individual way of doing things.
I suppose we do. But their ways wouldn't suit me. I'd be laughed out of our street if I came it like they do.
Which street is that?
Oh, Bradshaw Street, back of the glue works. Oh, and when the wind's blowing in the wrong direction.
I don't think I know Bradshaw Street.
Oh, well, you're not missed out, lass. They're just ordinary terraced houses, like the ones you got around here. Slum property, really. Should have been pulled down years ago, I reckon. Still, they're home to the likes of you and me. Eh, Annie?
Hey, Claire?
Hi.
Yeah, fine, Tiger.
Where was she phoning from? It sounded like Wembley Stadium.
That place next door to Archie, he gets busy at dinner times, you know.
Well, it sounded like it.
She thought I was poorly.
Oh?
Well, she phoned the Rovers, you see, and I wasn't there.
That's the trouble with Hilda, you know. No faith in human nature.
That's what I said to her.
How come you weren't there anyway?
I were, but I nicked home for your facts, you see.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you managing all right, on your own?
Oh, yes, us old lorry drivers, you know, live off the land, as you might say. A couple of crates of ale, a bottle opener, and Bob's your flipping uncle. Aye, aye.
Stanley?
Now then.
Is Alan about, love?
No, he isn't, as a matter of fact. He's off in Leeds. Can I do anything for you?
Well, no, it's just I saw this car in the paper, second-hand, you know, and I wonder what he thought about.
Have you seen her?
5 minutes ago.
Oh, and have you told her the reason you went back? I mean, the real reason.
Well, I had every intention, Elsie, but somehow I never got round.
Anything else? That'll be all to be going on with, I reckon. How are you, anyway?
Oh, it's pressing on, you know.
He went back then?
That's right.
Flaming fellas.
How you doing in your new job?
Oh, fine. I enjoy it. Most of the time.
Oh?
Just one snag. Mm-hmm. Have you ever had the feeling that your best efforts aren't always appreciated in certain quarters?
Ernest, you mean?
Oh, no, not Ernest. He appreciates them all right.
I see. Perhaps that's the trouble.
You don't have to tell me, love. There's no perhaps about it.
Don't tell me, let me guess. 3 parts whiskey, 2 parts gin, and a sheep's eyeball to give it a bit of colouring.
Is Rita in?
Well, if she is, she's very heavily camouflaged. Why did she say she would be?
I've no reason to suppose she wouldn't be. From what I can gather, she does seem to have opened it up as something of a branch office.
Well, do you want anything?
No, thank you. But if Rita should come in, please tell her how very grateful I would be if she could pop into the shop at least sometime this week.
It was something about the look on his face when they hanged him. You could tell he was sorry for what he'd done.
Pardon?
Hector Cavendish, he was her father, of course.
Whose father?
Ethel Wilkins. It wasn't his real name.
Wasn't it?
Oh, no, that was just his stage name. Oh, he was famous round here with Hector Cavendish in them days. You know, I always used to wonder how they managed to hang him in the end without hurting him.
The end of what?
Oh, Maria Martin, a murder at the Red Barn. Oh, she told me how they did it when she come to the over 60s once.
Mrs. Caldwell, would you tell me exactly what it is we're talking about?
Ethel Wilkins.
Well, who the ex-Ethel Wilkins?
Ethel Wilkins as was Ethel Bostock now, the mayoress of Weatherfield.
Oh, I see.
Oh, we had many an interesting chat together at the over 60s. But I don't expect she'd remember me now, not now that she's gone on to higher things.
Betty?
Yes?
Have you ever wondered how to hang somebody without actually hurting them?
Eh?
Only if ever you do, see Minnie Caldwell. She got it first hand for the over 60s from Ethel Wilkins, as was, of course.
Oh. When one took over, of course, one was tempted to modernise. But I like to think that one made the right decision, retaining the authentic Lancashire atmosphere.
Well, I like a pub to smell like a pub myself.
Elizabeth, of course, you already know.
Oh, hello, Jo.
And this is my other assistant, Bet.
Pleased to meet you.
Yeah, I bet you're glad to get your corns in a bowl of hot water when you've been on your feet all day.
You can say that again.
And this, of course, is Mrs. Caldwell, one of our senior citizens.
Oh, we don't need any introduction, do we, dear? We're all friends.
That's right.
Down at the old folks doing the military two-step, dancing bustable.
And the gay Gordons. Only that always brought me blood pressure on.
Hey, what are you having to drink?
Oh, no, thanks, I've just had one.
Oh, have another one. Hey, Mrs. Walker, set one up for me, will you, while you're about it? And would you mind very much if I just nip round the corner and had a word with Mrs. Caldwell, because I haven't really seen her for a long time.
Will you see to it, Mrs. Walker, or will one of your assistants?
The drinks are, of course, on the house.
Right.
And just one further point.
Yeah?
Please keep me fully informed of all the facts on any occasion like this when a celebrity calls to see me. There will be frequent occasions of this kind during the next 12 months, and I do not want to be let down so badly again.
Yeah.
I'm going down every day.
What the hell's she on about?
Oh, I don't know.
This is God's Bridge over the Greta at Pasture End. That's a natural bridge, Albert. Cut away by the water, right through the limestone.
My God, it looks cold.
Oh, you don't let a little thing like cold worry you, not when you look after yourself. Ah, now then, this is something. This is the sort of thing makes folk take up rambling for a pastime.
Now, where is that when it's at all?
That's Hardrow Falls, England's highest natural waterfall. You come round this bend, and there it is, shining in the sunlight, shooting over that lip, about 90-odd feet in the air. Oh, I tell you, Albert, you've missed a lot in life when you let yourself go.
Hey, look, I told you this morning when it comes to physical fitness, I can walk you down to your knees.
You reckon?
I don't reckon I know.
Does the name the Pennine Way mean anything to you, Albert?
What about it?
You know what it is, do you?
Of course I know what it is. I know, well, I didn't go to my college, but I'm not completely ignorant.
Oh, well, there's something you can call a walk. 250 miles along the backbone of England. Now then, suppose I told you that this summer I'm going to make that walk.
Well, I should say you're still at it, bragging. Something you've been doing ever since I thumped your ear hole behind the lavatory at Bessie Street Infants. 68 years since.
It's no idle boast this time, Albert. Come Whit Saturday, that's where I shall be. And when you can take on a walk like that, Eldon, well, then you can start talking about walking.
Yeah, well, I've got something better to do in my time.
Such as what, for instance?
My job across street. I'm not one of the blooming drones of society like you know. I still work for my living.
Good old Albert. You'll never change. Ever ready with excuses when the chips are down.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I'll never forget that time as lads when you bet me you'd swim me down the cut from Top Lock to Old White Bridge. And about an hour before the race, you conveniently pulled a muscle.
I did pull a muscle.
No, you didn't.
What do you know about it?
There's only one reason you were out of that race.
Oh?
And that wasn't anything to do with your muscle. It was because your mum said that if she caught you swimming in the Altogether in the cut again, she'd tan the backside off you.
How did you know about that?
Because Ena Schofield told me. She was there when your mum said it. And half an hour later, you conveniently got this bad limp.
Look, I did pull a muscle, and it had got naught to do with what my mum said.
All right. I believe you. Thousands wouldn't. Funny thing, though, we never did get round to having that race, even when your leg was better.
Can I come in?
Oh, you can come into my house any time, love, with a smile as sweet as that.
I say.
Let me take them. Where do you want them? In the kitchen, Albert?
I'll see to it.
No, I'll see to it.
Thank you.
You stop there and conserve your energies. You've got a lot less to spare than I have.
Hey, who's your good-looking friend, then?
Jessie Blooming James, alias Big Mouth.
You what?
We were at same class at school together.
Him?
That's right.
Blimey.
Well, what?
Well, nothing. It's just that he's so young looking for his age, isn't he?
Of course.
That's strong enough for you.
Oh, fine, thanks.
Your afternoon off, then?
Yeah.
Well?
Well?
You've come to say something, and I'm sure you have. Try starting at the beginning. Words of comfort, is it me or a need?
Nope.
Oh, well, that's something, any road.
Alf Roberts.
What about him?
He was here a couple of hours ago.
That's right.
He tried to tell you something, but he never got round to it.
Oh?
Oh, well, under the circumstances, somebody had better tell you.
You're mad. Start raving mad.
Look, it's none of your business.
Well, of course it's my business.
Why?
Because whether I like it or not, I've taken a certain responsibility on for you. And if you fall down a peat bog and break your neck, I'm the one to call on to identify the remains. That's not my idea of a swinging way to spend Easter. Be sensible. If you're going to do the full lot, the Pennine Way is 250 miles long. 270 a line for the contours of the land, and you're over 70.
Well, so is Jessie James.
Yeah, but he's used to it. Been doing it all his life.
So have I.
Not over mountains.
Look, you can talk till you're blue in your face, but I'm still going to do it. And I'll tell you something else for now to all. I'm going to do it this Easter weekend.
Uncle Albert, where are you going this weekend?
I am going for a walk up the Pennine Way.
Why?
Well, you don't think I'm bloody daft, do you? You don't think I'd tattle a walk like that without having a bit of a practice first?
Cross, love. Coronation Street, P694/279, Part 2, Take 1.
Never mentioned her name to you.
Hardly likely that he would, is it?
Yeah, I suppose not.
Now tell me something else, Elsie.
Well, if I can.
How long you known about this?
Oh, a couple of days, I suppose.
Why didn't you tell me before?
Well, I thought about it. Well, what was the point?
What's the point now?
Well, a couple of things made me decide to tell you.
What?
Well, for one thing, I don't want you sitting here eating your heart out thinking that one day he's going to come back to you. You had a very lucky escape, you know.
Lucky?
Look, supposing you had married him, supposing you had gone off to America, and that letter had caught up with you, how do you think things would have worked out?
Well, I reckon that's something we'll never really know.
Oh, you reckon, do you?
So, that was one reason. What was the other?
Alf.
What do you mean?
Oh, don't take it out on him, Maggie.
I wasn't aware I was taking it out on anybody.
Look, all I'm trying to say is he's a nice lad, and it wasn't his fault that things didn't turn out right.
I know exactly what it is you're trying to say, Elsie, and I know why you're saying it. Thanks.
You're welcome. Ta-ra, love.
Hey, I've left my gloves in the snow.
Oh, I'll get them.
No, I'll...
Well, Ethel,
Well, it's not my business to say, is it, lad?
you've just been invited to make it your business.
Ah, well, I expect you had some reason for inviting her.
Well, let's put it this way. Some of us have greatness thrust upon us.
Here, Abby.
Oh, thank you, love. Well, be seeing you, Mrs. Walker. Thanks for the drinks.
Not at all. Come again soon.
Ethel, eh?
Yes.
You know, they broke them all when they made her.
Yes, I'm sure they must have done.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Elsie?
I thought you might like to know.
Aye?
I've just had a word with a certain friend of yours.
Oh, yes.
What was all that about him?
What?
Quiet little talks behind closed doors over cups of tea.
Oh, just something else he wanted to tell me.
Important?
Not really worth repeating.
Norma, Maggie?
Well, just go and put kettle on it.
Yeah, I just had a cup of tea, thanks.
Well, I haven't.
No, neither have I.
What exactly is it I can do for you, huh?
Well, you can dance with me for a start. That is, if your feet will stand my 14 stone.
Beg your pardon?
Well, there's this do I've been invited to on Saturday, dinner dance. I've been dropped a couple of tickets.
No, thanks.
What, you mean you've got something else on, like?
No, that's not what I mean.
Well, I don't understand.
Don't you? I would have thought it was perfectly straightforward. You've just asked me to go out with you, and I've said I don't want to. Nothing very mysterious about that, surely.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Yes, Don?
carry on, Stanley. I'm in no hurry.
Can you give me something for me indigestion? My guts don't like my cooking like our in-laws, you know.
Is it all right for you?
Oh, I'm fine, love, yeah. Great. Oh, well, it won't be long now, will it?
Oh, no.
Tell me, is it true what they say about the mayor's parlour?
What do they say?
He's got a cabinet there with all the drinks he wants in, like, you know.
Yeah, well, there is an allowance made for entertaining, aye.
One place I've never seen inside, the mayor's parlour.
I'll have to see what I can do for you, Stanley, when I get my feet under the table.
I'll remind you of that. Book this, Maggie, will you?
Right.
Look, when I said I didn't understand, all I meant...
I know what you meant, Alf. You've seen Elsie, right?
Well, I've seen her today, yes.
And you think, because I now know about this widow in Wichita, that it makes it all right between us? Right. Well, I'm afraid it doesn't. It doesn't make a scrap of difference. You tried to interfere in my life, Alf Roberts, and if there's one thing I can't stand, it's folk who do that. Now, you come into my shop any time you like and you'll be served and treated like anybody else. But from now on, that's as far as it goes, all right?
Hey, Maggie, that was a bit strong, wasn't it?
You made the tea, have you? Or haven't you really had time yet for listening?
Can you talk any sense into him, Mrs. Caldwell?
Oh, I very much doubt it, Kenneth. He never did have any sense, didn't Albert? Not when it came to Jessie James.
And you can shut up at all. This has got nothing to do with you.
He always had an inferiority complex about Jessie, did Albert, right from being at school with him.
Blooming rubbish.
I think it was his legs that started it.
Whose legs?
Oh, Albert's. He always had shorter legs than anybody else in his class. And then it was Jessie who gave him this nickname.
Oh, what nickname?
Pee-wee.
Pee-wee?
And I suppose you think that's funny, eh, calling folks names?
And then he came back from the war, such a hero. Well, that made it even worse.
Hero. Ha! Don't make me laugh.
Oh, yes, he was, Albert, and he had his photograph in the paper for it, the Weatherfield Gazette.
Yeah, and why? Why? Go on, tell him why, now you know all about it.
Because of all the medals he won.
But it got naught to do with it.
Oh, yes, it had, Albert.
Oh, no, it hadn't, Minnie Caldwell. It was because his uncle was the editor of the paper. Now, if you've said all you've got to say, I'd be very much obliged if you'd buzz off. I've got a route to plan out here, and I can't do it with women nattering in my ear hole.
Oh, well, if that's how you feel about it, I'm sure I'll not stop where I'm not wanted. Pee-wee.
Oh, blooming gas bag. I wouldn't like to tell you what they used to call her when she were at school.
Uncle Albert?
Yeah?
Do you mind if I just ask you one question, just one straight question before you go ahead with this lunatic scheme?
Right, well, go on, ask away.
Why?
And what do you mean by that?
Well, what are you doing it for? Just to show Jessie James?
Well, partly that, aye.
And what else?
Why did Chichester do it?
Well, he knew what he was doing, didn't he? I mean, he wasn't walking 250 miles over a mountain without any previous experience.
No, well, same difference.
And why do you think he did it?
Well, Probably that he was trying to prove something.
Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
You still feel you got to prove something at your age?
Look, you've always got to prove something if you're a man. Till you're dead, more likely.
Blooming heck. Have you been leaning against that door waiting for us opening?
Oh, give us a vodka line, will you, love? Hey, and pour a lot of vodka in it.
One of them days, eh?
Right.
Don't loot now, but I've got a feeling it's not over yet either.
Oh.
Rita?
Hello, love. Do you want a drink?
Just a word, actually.
Yeah?
Would it be too much to ask for you to ring in at least once a day?
Oh, come off it, love. I've got a list of names as long as my arm. I haven't time to go looking for phone boxes that haven't had their fittings ripped out.
But if a crisis does blow up, we've no means of contacting you.
What crisis?
I've spent the entire morning following up those orders you lined up last week.
So?
At least 2 of the orders were cancelled right there on the doorstep.
Ah, well, can't win them all, eh?
Well, that's hardly the point, Rita. There's surely a matter of principle involved here.
What principle?
That time is money to us, and there's no point in using your considerable charms to secure orders from the husbands if their wives are going to cancel the minute they hear about them.
Well, look, I don't know what their wives are going to do I? If they're not in when I call.
Then please arrange to call again in future to confirm.
You did get me a note, did you? About the agency that wants us to do the models for them?
Yes.
What do you think?
Oh, I'll discuss it with Ernest.
I'd have thought you'd have jumped at it.
People in that line of business do tend to be somewhat erratic in their payments. We've had them in the past, you know, and frankly, they've been more trouble than they were worth.
You know where her trouble is, don't you?
I have a private theory. What's yours?
She'd turn down exclusive pictures of Howard Hughes, I reckon, if you brought 'em in.
Stick another vodka in there, will you?
What I want is something that's light to carry, that'll last a long time and sort of help to keep you warm.
Humbugs.
Ah, well, the only thing wrong with them is, you know, they go soft in your pocket.
Well, any sweets do if you leave them long enough.
Well, have you got no else you can offer me?
Look, Mr. Tetlock, I've got shelves of bottles, all with something different in. Now, you just state your preference and I'll get it for you, but please make your mind up, because I should have been shut 10 minutes since.
Oh, you're a bit narky today, aren't you?
Not narky, Mr. Tetlock, just hungry. I can smell my tea burning in the oven. And it's not today anymore, is it? It's tonight.
Right, well, I won't bother you any longer. I'll take my custom somewhere else.
Right. Look, I'm sorry about what I said earlier on.
Oh, that's all right.
It's just, well, reckon I don't have to spell it out to you, do I?
No. Tell you what, I'll put this in the storeroom and I'll put the kettle on, OK?
All right.
Maggie, there's a mouse in that storeroom. I nearly stood on it.
Oh, we've never had any mice in there before.
Well, perhaps it's a field mouse. It might come in with your orders or something.
Shall we go and have a look?
No, you have a look.
Is that what she said?
That's all.
Oh, I'm sorry I set you up like that, love.
No, it's not your fault. You did your best. Anyway, maybe there's more to it than that.
How do you mean?
Well, I'm very fond of Maggie. She knows that as well as anyone. And if she don't share my feelings, I don't think she does, well, now's as good a time as any to tell me. What I mean, Elsie, is maybe that's what she was trying to tell me before when she refused to be my mayoress. Only I was too thick to see it.
You didn't really think very much of her then, Mrs. Walker?
Now, did I say that, Elizabeth?
Well, no, not in so many words, but, I mean, you did imply it.
Well, in that case, I'm very sorry, because I certainly didn't intend to. But in what context are we discussing her? As a woman or as a mayoress?
Well, both, I would have thought.
You can't do that, can you, dear? Now, as a woman, she may be perfectly charming in her own simple way. But as a mayoress, now, can you honestly see her regaling visiting royalty with anecdotes of her life as a char in Weatherfield? No, I'm sorry, dear, but I'm sure Councillor Roberts will agree with me here. That if one wants to project the proper image of one's town, then one requires a little more, isn't there so, Alf?
Well, there's more to being mayoress, Mrs. Walker, than entertaining visiting royalty.
Oh, I'm not saying that.
And it's widely acknowledged in council circles that Ethel Bostock did more in her year as mayoress than anybody else in living memory.
Really?
And I may say that if my mayoress does half as well in her period of time, then I, for one, will be very happy.
And you've been a rambler all your life, then, Mr. James?
Man and boy.
Yeah.
And secretary of my local association for the last 20 years.
A dodgy business rambling, wouldn't you say, if you don't know where you're going, what you're on about?
Oh, yes, it can be.
In fact, you would say you would actively dissuade anyone from wandering off across the moors unless they had a clear idea of where they were going.
Oh, you bet I would.
Except for Albert Tatlock.
Eh?
Well, isn't that exactly what you're doing? You're encouraging him to do something you'd dissuade anyone else from doing.
The only thing I'm encouraging him to do is to get a bit more exercise. A bit of exercise never hurt anybody.
No, but you have persuaded him to make this Pennine walk with you, haven't you?
Okay, then look here. Credit me with a bit of nous, eh?
What do you mean?
Well, if Albert Tatlock even makes the starting gate with Saturday, I'll be surprised. If he does turn up, I'll give him 4 miles at the most.
And then what?
Oh, I'll see him safely home and carry on.
And you really think he'll let you do that, do you?
He'll be glad of it after a couple of miles on that moorland.
Then all I can say to you is this, Mr. James. You don't know Albert Tatlock as well as you think you know him.